I've got a friend of mine who doesn't, he hears voices even with the drugs. At the moment, my experiment with the medication is to take them and to see how long I can go without going back to hospital.
That means the companies that make that medication or the tablets, whatever, they make a lot of money and people don't get well.
Where tablets fail, other forms of treatment are available. In very extreme cases of depression, electroconvulsive therapy, or ECT, can be used. Sarah was sectioned annually at the Maudsley Hospital between 1988 and 1995 and received compulsory ECT treatment. Today, around 40 people a year are treated with ECT at the Maudsley. Many of them do it voluntarily. But based on her own experiences, Sarah is strongly opposed to the practice. She believes it triggered her memory loss and left her permanently damaged.
So this is a pretty standard contemporary ECT machine. It's a built-in EEG monitor, which is gold standard now for documenting response to the treatment, immediate response. This is a fairly, on the side here, is a fairly standard anesthetic setup, so people are quite intensively monitored throughout the whole process.
We've had a lot of ECTs. We don't know exactly how many, but we've had a lot of them. It's probably at least 60 if you add up from 1988, roughly, until 94-5. It's very difficult. We've never been told how many we've had. We've never been...
You either didn't receive much information about it, or you don't recollect the information you were given about it.
Yeah, people really seriously still don't know how, nobody knows how the mind works properly.
That's true, yeah.
So really, it just feels like abuse of mad people. That's really what it feels like, really.
I think it may feel like that, but I don't believe that's the case. The sort of contemporary machine, such as the one we're using, delivers a more refined stimulus than, say, used 10, 15 years ago. And obviously we know a lot more about the anesthesia element of the treatment as well. And the aim really is to refine the technique of ECT, which is a very powerful antidepressant treatment, but to refine the technique to try and maintain its efficacy but reduce its side effects.
So people still have the side effects?
Well, yes, yes.
They still have the memory loss, and...
It can still happen, yes. But I think we're now moving to an era where the technique is changing in sort of modest ways that are reducing the side effects.
We think of it as electrocution.
Right.
But in fact, just ECT, those three words, they stand for just a world of horror, as far as I'm concerned, a world of horror.
You've got a personal view about ECT, which is...
The personal view is it should stop now. That's a personal view. I understand what you're saying about not drinking.
But I think if we were to stop ECT treatment, there would be a lot of people who would be quite disadvantaged by that.
Because?
Because they'll possibly die from their illness.
Since the early 1990s, the Maudsley Hospital has put an emphasis on service user involvement. It's now policy that patients can give feedback on their experiences in the system. They can get involved in teaching hospital staff.
So it's a mad nutter in charge in the classroom today, teaching the mental health professionals what to do. So what do you think of when you hear the term mental health? If we can brainstorm. Aggression.
Anxiety.
Stress.
Psychosis.
Vulnerability.
Vulnerability. What we seem to have is a lot of negative things.
Poor social network.
Poor social network.
This class included psychiatric nurses, receptionists and administrative staff.
Well, I hope they take away a better understanding of mental health, that the prejudices that the media portrays are challenged in these sessions here.
At Derby City General Hospital, where he was forcibly medicated, Aidan is opening his latest exhibition.
The crux of my work is to convey that schizophrenia has a firm foundation in reality, and in a nutshell, pardon the pun, I regard schizophrenia as a psychic experience, and that can be validated and verified by my experiences, what I perceive, what I've seen, what I've felt, what I've heard, that I know that they have objective reality. But lamentably, psychiatry restricts the multidimensional nature of reality to one dimension. The world is flat in their view, and so are the minds of people.
The word psyche, as I've stated there, means butterfly.
That's something new, actually. I didn't know that.
Yeah, not a lot of people do.
We never tried to look at the meaning of psyche.
The what could call it, the restrictions that are placed on, and the limitations that are placed on what is defined as the norm, prohibit a wider vision of reality, a wider vision of humanity, and I feel that in a way sometimes we are squeezed into this narrow, attempted to be squeezed into this narrow funnel of this is the way to see and perceive.
And I think that's a very subjective area, in that what you may see as one thing, I can look at exactly the same object and see it in a different way.
Absolutely.
And I think that's one of the nice things about this display here, that the butterflies can mean a whole range of different things to different people, and obviously one of them can be that's what it looks like or feels like to be suffering from a schizophrenic illness, and yet it could also feel that it's like being trapped and killed and pinned on a card. What I'm seeing as helping you might be perceived by you as being stabbing you through with a needle.
And thank you all very much for coming. It's very much appreciated, and I hope we can begin the process of dialogue and take things forward, and really let's create environments that are conducive to emotional well-being. Thank you. Bye.
Back in London, Amos has gone to Camberwell in search of an old friend. He used to drum with Creative Roots, but stopped because he couldn't keep up. It's been a year since he last saw Sarah.
How are you?
Do we know you?
You don't know me. Jeb knows me.
Are you Amos?
Yeah.
You've changed.
Even I've changed.
You have.
I've grown fatter.
Yeah. Is that the medication? Is it medication?
Yeah.
What are you on?
Lanzapine and sodium valproate.
Oh, right. Oh, snap. Olanzapine. Olanzapine.
All right.
But the chlorpromazine, we went from 5.5 stone when we went in there first. 18 months later, we come out 14 stone. We sat in the kitchen. We just sat and lived in the kitchen. We can't never eat toast with peanut butter or toast with jam ever again. And we glug from the milk machine because then the kitchens was open. And when we came out, right, we took a look at this person in the mirror. We touched the mirror because we couldn't believe it was us. But olanzapine agrees with us. Don't do that to us. And we were lactating.
Creative Roots have hired professional musicians for tonight's performance and composed some of the music.
So it was a vision for survival, using the arts from despair to hope. Try not to kill yourself by using the arts. Jemmy's our unhinged conductor, and so we're unhinged. But we'll be conducting with bananas.
Why bananas?
Because that's the baton for the conductors and who are unhinged, and we're completely bananas. But we're very pleased to be. But the bed, we decided, because we felt very crap we feel very crap right now, very crap. We thought, well, we can't do it unless we've got the bed, because we don't want to get out of bed, to be honest. Actually, we want to go in bed right now, actually. So we decided that that means that we can go into bed whenever we want to and come out and conduct when we want to.
My view is that there's a thin line between madness and genius. I think the creativity is always found here among people who are mad, in quotes.
No, that's an empty packet. Someone help, because we really do need it. But it was very beautiful, we were very touched. We got very much into the... We really do want to do proms next fall, it was lovely, and really sorry we're not being coherent, because we really do need a cigarette. We can't find, we've got the lighter, but we can't find the cigarettes.
The performance was a success, but Sarah is falling to pieces. She's caught up in an internal struggle.
This bit here, this one, is trying to stop this one from doing the torture bit. So this bit comes up with the bed thing, you know, and comes up with the bed thing, and then then she's got it all. She's got all the stuff that's there, which is the torturing part. And this bit is thinking about bras and knickers and beds, and bit conducting by using an unhinged bed for unhinged moments. So that stopped that side from doing too much torture.
Sarah is experiencing a relapse. If she gets worse, she risks being sectioned and forcibly returned to hospital.
I've been sectioned 3 times, and the problem with a section is that you are not allowed to leave the ward. Basically, your rights are taken away from you. You're in prison. That is the way I can describe it. You are in prison. And so for me, that is something that I cannot understand, because I have not done anything criminally wrong. I am having an illness.
They call it control and restraint. The fact is that this so-called control and restraint that is supposed to be used as a last resort is often used as a first resort. It is endemic and epidemic within the psychiatric system. So many, thousands of people have undergone this treatment.
The government is proposing new laws to deal with mental health. It's giving new powers to the professionals, which it says are necessary to protect the public from the mentally ill who turn violent.
This is the mental health pill, all 270 pages of it, £41, bargain. quite a boring read, but within it some quite worrying propositions. One of them is being a very woolly, broad term about what is mental disorder. So it's down to the actual psychiatrist's whim, really, whether someone's mentally ill or not. And the other very worrying thing is that it allows psychiatrists and other professionals to force people to take medication when they're living in the community, when they're well enough to make decisions about whether they want to try and come off medication or not. Psychiatrists can force them under community treatment orders to take medication against their will. So it's extending the powers of the institution to control people and to force them to take tablets. It's extending those powers into the community. So we're bringing the worst parts of care into the community under this bill. See, a lot of the more coercive aspects of the mental health bill have been pushed through by the Home Office, and they want basically mental health services to take more responsibility for crime, and they see the Mental Health Act as a way to detain people without trial, basically, to use the Mental Health Act to detain people they think are dangerous. You know, well, I think many MPs are dangerous, but I don't think we should detain them. You know, I think it's very tricky trying to predict dangerousness and lock people up for crimes they might commit.
The government argues that the bill will protect the public from those patients who may be dangerous. It will also help the mentally ill living in the community to stay out of hospital for longer. Not everyone agrees.
You can have the beds. Psychiatry is off its trolley.
Find out all about it.
We're on the run from coercive psychiatry. Stop drugging our children.
Rufus is leading a group of nurses, former patients and campaigners who are opposed to the draft mental health bill. They're taking their protest to the streets.
Psychiatry is off its trolley. What do we want? Hugs. What do we get? Drugs. What do we want? Hugs. What do we get? Drugs.
And now we're out campaigning, giving out leaflets, using the megaphone, raising awareness about the normality of madness and the madness of the madhouse.
We're campaigning today for a more compassionate approach to madness, to distress, not just drugging people up with drugs that make the pharmaceutical industry huge profits, but often do us a lot of harm. So many of us have been in loony bins and we're not happy with what we experienced there.
Pushing a psychiatric bed, they set out on a 36-mile hike across the Pennines, from Bradford to Manchester.
Okay, we're coming up to the crest of the Pennines now. Going to go under the M62, the highest motorway in the country, and on into the wilderness on the moors. We've just been accompanied by a couple of sheep. They say, what do they say? A mad sheep and Englishman. Completely balmy.
Another group of protesters, supporters of the Kiss It campaign, led by Aidan, is on its way to join forces with Rufus's bed push team.
We've come from Derbyshire and we're off to Manchester to protest against psychiatric assault. Psychiatric assault, the practice of forced drugging, compulsory electroshock treatment, practices that are routinely and systematically and frequently imposed upon people and sanctioned indeed by the state.
Aidan fears that his experiences will become the norm when the new legislation comes into force.
If I can explain a personal testimony which perhaps would encapsulate why I'm on this demonstration. When I was receiving psychiatric hospitality, as I term it, I was descended upon by 6 staff, dragged to a cell, pinned to the floor, stripped naked, needles pierced into each of my buttocks, and left to recede into unconsciousness, utterly alone, terrified and traumatized. So this is my mother, Elizabeth, and who actually funded the banners, and credit where credit's due, funded the banners, and has been through a lot with me, and we've come through it, and we're here to
see that the flag is flying high.
Thank
and
you.
Strong and wide, but it was all Aidan's idea. This is important.
Well, I don't know if that's important. That's not the important thing.
It's
It's not the important thing, but anyway.
No, that's it really.
Around mental health, because things are getting worse, not better, within mental health services, within the health system in general. Our lives are getting more and more medicalised, more and more diagnoses are being produced. You know, we want a humane approach. It's the end of the bed push. It's a coming together of like-minded people. So basically, I'm pretty knackered, but very pleased with how things have gone.
Thank you very much to the bed pushers for doing a brilliant job, and thanks everybody for being here. But also, dare I say, can I also give a personal message to the psychiatric fraternity? Can I give a personal message to the psychiatric fraternity? A personal message to the psychiatric fraternity, the fraternity that systematically, routinely enforces and violates human rights. Simply kiss my ass!
The new mental health bill is expected to come before Parliament in 2006.